Hey, what's up, speed friends? This is Two Snake here, coming at you with another Castlevania tutorial. Today I just want to talk about what are frame rules in Castlevania. Darby and Artie has a really good explanation of what frame rules are. I've put a link to his YouTube video in the description of this video, but just to kind of recap, when we're talking about frame rules in Castlevania or in Super Mario Brothers, think of it as a bus stop. Let's say that there's a bus stop in your hometown and the bus leaves every 20 minutes, maybe on the hour. So 11, 11:20, 11:40, 12, 12:20, and so on. So if you get to the bus stop at 11:18, there's only 2 minutes left until the bus leaves. So you only have to wait 2 minutes before you can take the next bus. But if you arrived at the bus stop at 11:22, you'd have to wait 18 minutes until the next bus stop. So if we're thinking about video games and frames, let's say that there's a 20 frame rule. If you got to the target, let's say in Castlevania, it's one of these red doors. In Super Mario Brothers, it's the end of the level. If you got to the goal 2 minutes or 2 frames ahead of the next frame rule, you would only have to wait 2 frames to advance to the next section. But if you got there 2 frames late, then you would have to wait 18 additional frames to advance to the next section. So because of frame rules, you can get into a spot where losing just 2 or 3 frames can actually cost you 20 frames. So in Castlevania, a frame rule is 16 frames. So if you're a frame late getting to the door, then you can that 1 frame loss can cost you 16 frames total, which is a pretty big hit, a little over a quarter of a second. So where are frame rules in Castlevania? So a frame rule is any place that there's a red door like that's on the screen right now. And when you open the door has an animation, and the animation will give you a clue as to how much time is left in the frame rule. The animation actually uses the rest of the time of the frame rule in its animation. So if you get to a door and it opens very slowly, that means that you got to the frame rule at the very beginning of that frame, at the very, very beginning of the frame rule, and you have to wait for the rest of the frame rule to complete before you can enter the door. So in order to kind of govern that and to take up that time, the door will have very slow animation. Whereas if you open the door, if you get to the door and the door just flies open very fast, that means that the frame that you got there at the very end of the frame rule. So you had to wait almost no time for the next frame rule to start, that's great. That means that you either barely got there or you're able to sneak in and get in a new frame rule. So let's take a look and see what that looks like. The best example of this is probably in stage 4, because there was an older strat that would, once we knew about frame rules, made it pretty hard to get this frame rule, and then a newer strat later that made it much easier. So just from the top, we're going to go here. I'm going to do the old strat where I would jump here, and sometimes my legs would get clipped on that block right there. And then I would just jump across and I would get to the door. So that door opened kind of slow. We may have actually lost 2 frame rules there. Let's take another look. Okay, that one looks more reasonable. Okay, let's watch the door again. Yeah, pretty slow open. Whereas if you consider this newer strat, you don't get hung up on the ledge there. Oh, that was a bad go. But basically, this new strat makes it to where you don't get hung up on the ledge. Jeez, if I can even do it. Bear with me. So if you watch the door here, the door is going to open very fast. So we were able to save 16 frames versus the old trick, which is like this. And you can still do this. Like, this might get the frame rule. Let's watch. No, we just missed a frame rule. You saw how slow that door opened? So that just goes to show that a tiny difference, a tiny time loss, can cost you quite a bit of time. And another place, so this one's going to get the frame rule, but let's say that I'm a little slow on that, or maybe I bump up against the door like this. I'm gonna miss the frame rule, because you actually don't end the stage until your feet are on the ground. I get questions a lot about screens like this where there's not a door, there's just the stairs that goes up to the top, and they're like, okay, is there a frame rule right here? No, there is not a frame rule here. That transition always takes 22 frames. And that's essentially what frame rules are in Castlevania. So when you're speedrunning Castlevania, there are only some stages. So as you see, I'm in stage 6 right now, but wait a second, I'm in level 2. every level is broken up into 3 stages. So the only stages where a frame rule is really on the table to be saved, like to save additional frame rules against what you might do normally, are stage 1, stage 2, stage 4, stage 5, stage 7, stage 8, stage 11, and stage 13. That's it. Those are the only frame rules in the game that you can get. The other ones, so at the end of every level, every third stage doesn't have a door, so none of those are on the table. So that's stage 3, 6, 9, and 12. There's no door there, so there's no frame rule governing that we know of. But if you're a scientist, feel free to dig in there and check it out. There's probably no way to get an additional frame rule in stage 14, which is the last door in level 5, unless some sort of like wall clip is found. We can already get to that screen as fast as possible, and there's actually a few extra frames in that frame rule, so you can actually slow down a little bit in the stage and do things like farm hearts, and you'll still get through the stage in the same amount of time. But every other stage, the frame rule's definitely in play, and you should optimize your strats to try to get as many frame rules out of the stage as possible. So that's basically it. This video is going to be a prerequisite for a lot of other Castlevania tutorials that I plan on making, so I'll reference frame rules a lot. If you like my other Castlevania tutorials, smash the like button, follow, hit me up on Twitch, ask me any questions that you might have. Happy to talk about Castlevania. And my Twitch URL is going to be in the description as well. Let me know in the comments what other sections of the game or concepts within the game you'd like to see a tutorial on. And until next time, see you later.